Hey guys, welcome to the OVP podcast. I'm Ryan, the pessimist. Unfortunately, the optimist couldn't make it today. So today we have instead,
Eva, the also a little bit of a pessimist.
if you are unaware, Eva is actually my fiance. We have done a podcast in the past, so hopefully she'll be able to, fill in the optimist's shoes.
I mean, I also work on this podcast with you guys, so hopefully I'll.
By work, she means she presses the button and then walks out.
I do your graphics. I do your uploads.
That's true.
I write all your descriptions.
If you guys like all our thumbnails, it is Eva who designs them. So shill for yourself, please, by all means.
Oh, I can?
No, absolutely not. Now we're gonna move on. So Oscars are coming up in the next couple days here, and for those of you who are unaware, which you probably are, I love the Oscars. Oscar season is my favorite type of season. I always am excited for when they're going to make the announcements for what's nominated. So that's something I look forward to every year. I've been watching the Oscars since I was a kid. It's been a family tradition. Recently, we added the whole because you can actually print off sheets, which we actually have ourselves, and you can kind of check mark what you think is going to win. And then me and my family have been playing a game where whoever just kind of keeping score and see who wins. I win every year, just so you guys know. What is your experience with the Oscars, Eva?
Well, you guys wouldn't know, but I spent most of my life without a television.
Yeah.
So if I got to see an Oscar-nominated movie, it was generally like many years later when it was in a discounted bin as a DVD release.
When did you see The King's Speech?
Oh, when I was in my second year of high school, I think.
Oh no.
So that would have been probably 2013.
Okay, so then you're maybe like a year or two off. You weren't that far off, but okay. So you don't have the same love for it as I do.
I don't. I don't have the experience you do.
Also, it's more of the idea than it is the actual execution. I know in the recent years there have been a lot of, for me, controversies. I guess there's been Black Panther getting nominated, which I couldn't stand.
I mean, there's also been a lot of expose videos on how the Oscar nomination process actually works and how much money you have to put in to get an Oscar.
So it's more of the idea. I like a day dedicated to celebrating the art of filmmaking. I like the idea of everyone dressing up the best they can, doing the red carpet, doing the interviews. I enjoy all of that. So yeah, that's where my love for the Oscars kind of stops, because then when you get into the nitty gritty of it, yes, I do not like most of some of the nominations. Some years, sometimes there's snubs, sometimes there's things that I don't think deserve to be nominated. It happens every year. Most of the time, the movie that I thought was the best of the year never wins. So.
I think most normal people feel that way about the Oscars, though. I've never heard anyone be like, "Oh yeah, the one that I thought was gonna win won this year."
No, you gotta kind of think how they think, or think how they would think. You think
very critically about the film instead of emotionally or reactionary to it.
I would say I'm very critical when it comes to movie watching. So,
as somebody who watches movies with him often, I can attest to that.
All right, so how we're going to do this is we have a list of the nominations. We're not going to go through all of them because obviously there's some things where we couldn't have actually seen it, like the animated short film. You know what? One year, I'm going to try to watch every single thing that's nominated. I want to see if that's doable. Within I think that you get a month after the nominations are announced. Do you think I can do it?
I know you can. Not sure if I'll watch them all with you.
You don't want to watch all the animated shorts and live action shorts?
Animated shorts are the saddest things that have ever existed.
Most of the time they are. I think one's about dementia. So oh great.
Yeah, that was Bao, wasn't it?
Oh
no, that was last year.
No, well maybe there's another one. Memorable? That's
maybe. I remember Bao when I cried like a child.
Oh, BAO, the one that
yeah, about the dumpling.
They should do that for movies now. They should do in Oscar season, before some films, they should have some of the live action shorts.
That would be great.
Or even
Pixar
the animated
used to do it.
Yeah, well, Pixar still does it.
Yeah, they put it in front of their movies so you get exposure to both.
I think they should start doing that again with these kind of things so that we can kind of get exposed to it, so it can be kind of, maybe announce it beforehand. It's okay, before this film screening, we're going to have this short film.
I would really love that.
I would too.
Especially because the short films tend to be much more artistically driven, I think.
Okay.
So you kind of get this taste of something rich and beautiful before you have this long cinematic experience. It's kind of like a little teaser trailer. But it's the full story. I would really like that.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about that. So we're going to go through the categories that we can have a conversation about. The first category, I think, is visual effects.
It is visual effects.
So what's nominated for visual effects is Avengers Endgame, The Lion King, 1917, The Irishman, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So which one jumps out at you? Maybe not. Don't tell me what your pick is, but which ones jump out at you as contenders here?
For visual, I mean, I think everyone would jump at Avengers.
Yeah,
Simply because it is almost 100% CGI based.
sure.
But at the same time, it's kind of just a recreation of every other Marvel CGI and like thing that we've seen. It's not new or original in any way. We're kind of used to it.
I think that's true. Also, yeah, in terms of like the models, it's just a carryover from Infinity War because there's not a lot of new things that they introduce in this one.
Not really, no. And I mean, there's a massive return of characters, obviously, but
Yeah.
all of them already had pre-existing digital effects attached to them.
Yeah.
So it's not super exciting
So
by any means.
It may look good, but it's not something new or refreshing.
It's not Avatar.
Right, I forgot about that. The Last Airbender you're obviously talking about, right?
Isn't that the worst live action ever made?
Yeah. Okay, so then that one.
Which one really stands out to you?
I mean, I'll tell you which one stands out in a bad way. The Irishman. I can't believe they decided when the effect is not that good. Why would you add that to your visual effects? I know it's nominated for other Oscars, more important ones, which it deserves, but like, not visual effects. No, they didn't. They didn't. Like, I think I mentioned this in the short little review I gave on it in one of the podcasts that like, it's very noticeable.
Do you want to give them an example of what you're talking about?
Oh, okay. Well, they did age the characters. Now, like, they don't give ages really, but like Joe Pesci calls Robert De Niro kid. Like, hey champ, hey kid, and like he looks like he's 50 in the scene. You don't call people in their 50s, hey kiddo. So I'm assuming he was supposed to be like 20 or maybe 30 if I'm pushing it, but like even then. So a lot of that doesn't work, and the visual effects doesn't work that well, unfortunately.
It was bad enough to pull you out of the experience.
Like I will say for the old age ones, they nail that very well.
I think aging people is easier than making them younger.
100%.
I really do.
100%. So obviously that one stands out in a bad way. So,
but which one was your winner?
Which one do I think?
Yeah.
I went for the kind of easy pick, I think, and that's Lion King.
Really? I went for Skywalker.
You went for Star Wars doesn't win visual effects generally. It doesn't do very well in that category. I went with something that was like Lion King was entirely CGI with it was a huge experience. I didn't watch Lion King, but I saw the trailer. I should say this. Some of the choices I picked, I did not see the thing, but based on what I think the Academy is looking for, I think Lion King kind of hits all the main points that it wants.
See, I thought this of the sequel trilogy had the best tonal imagery.
Okay.
And I thought the way that they use the effects around the tone is really like, think of the Fallen Death Star.
Sure.
Like things like that, the way it's animated, the animation of, I don't want to spoil anything, but the animation of like the
We had a 2-hour discussion about
yeah.
scene by scene.
Oh, you were fine.
It's too late, yeah.
Like alternate Rey and those little moments, I felt that they were very, very well done. And not just that they were well done, but they were well placed into it. Like,
I can't distinguish between this one and the other two films, really. I don't notice a big difference in terms of stylistic and visuals. Also, what are we looking for with visual effects anyway? This is such a broad category. What am I looking at?
I don't know, because a lot of the digital effects we see are just recurrent. When you look at the new Disney franchises where they're doing the live remakes,
yeah,
they all kind of look similar in their style, the same way that all the Marvel films kind of look similar. Are we looking for originality or just the best edited?
Well, no, the film editing is an option. So
no, I mean like the best edited effects, like the one who rendered them the most and put the most detail in.
I think it might be just a mixture of both. So my pick was Lion King because I feel like that's what the Academy wants. That's like prime Academy stuff. Now, what did you picked? Rise of Skywalker. Sorry,
I picked Skywalker. Yeah.
Okay. Well. We'll see. I maybe this will be the one. So next up is I'm gonna kind of combine these two because it's weird how these two categories are distinguished. So there's sound mixing and sound editing. Now, a quick Google search told me that sound mixing is mostly the gathering of the sounds, and the sound editing is editing them together. So it's like, why would I give an award to someone who picked the right sounds?
Do they still have Foley artists, the people who would make all the sounds? They'd stand
I
in a
hope so.
garage and they'd make all the noises.
That was fun to see the background, the scenes behind the scenes.
Because to me, if you were like the mixing guy and you were the one making all those sounds, I could understand you being nominated for all of your efforts in this. But if you're just somebody grabbing sound clips,
Yeah. Okay, so these ones have a lot of the things that Academy are looking for. You want good space sounds, you have Ad Astra. You have car racing sounds, you have Ford v Ferrari. You want war sounds. These are like your prime choices for sound mixing and editing, I guess. So what did you go for? Which one did you pick? Both? Did you pick the same movie for both one, or did you pick one and one?
I picked two different ones. I'm just gonna
Same.
kill you what I picked.
Same. Okay, so hit me up with your sound mixing one. What did you pick?
I picked Joker, though I will admit it's not one I watched. I watched a lot of the trailers of it and did a lot of I read a lot about it.
Sure.
And from what I could gather, it seemed to be the one I thought the Academy would pick. I'll be honest, for this one I picked what I thought the Academy would go after.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Also, I should say this: I have seen all 9 nominations for the Best Picture. I also chose to watch 3 that had actors or something else brought in to be nominated. Like, say for instance, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood has only just Tom Hanks nominated, but I've seen that. I've seen Two Popes, seen Bombshell, and I think and Knives Out. Those are the ones that I've seen that are outside of the nominations for Best Picture. But just thought I'd let you guys know just my credentials in this. I think you've seen 3.
I've seen a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you picked sound mixing Joker because you think that's what the Academy's going for.
I think it is because it seemed to be such a tonally driven.
I'm going for like a classic pick for the Academy, and that's gonna be 1917.
Because of those war sounds.
Because of those war sounds. They nailed the war sounds. I mean, like, it'd be hard. Like, you need to, like, put, like, a clown, like, in the wrong spot, like, to mess that up. But, like, yeah,
With the massive library accessible for those kinds of sounds, it would be really difficult to pick the right ones, but it would also be really difficult to not have the resources you need.
That's true. So I felt with sound mixing, I went with 1917. And then for sound editing, for some reason, I never pick the same one when I do this. I picked Ford v Ferrari because I feel like it is, you have like all those car sounds, like the clutch, I don't want to say car things because I know absolutely nothing about them, but
what killed me is during their pit stop scenes, you couldn't hear the sounds. Like, you could hear when they were pounding on the breaker.
Sure.
But you couldn't hear the sounds of them changing out the rotors.
Okay.
And it killed me because that is a very loud operation, and you would hear metal screeching.
Okay, but
it was missing, and it bothered me.
So I guess I just picked the second most obvious kind of choice here, just because I'm like, I feel like the movie deserves some kind of Oscar credentials, and I can't find it in another category that I can give it to other than the sound. Like editing, I guess.
See, I gave it, and you're not going to be happy, I gave it to Skywalker for the reason of them, because they can't claim original music to what I'm about to refer. And it's the reuse of previous Star Wars musics, intermixed tonally. And to me, when you're not putting in original music, you're then putting in an audio clip, which would be sound editing.
But wouldn't that be score? Wouldn't that be part of score?
But it's not original. When it's just a second of it, I would imagine that's more... I mean, maybe it is, but the way I looked at it, it doesn't.
Interesting. You think they're just gonna get 2 Oscars?
Oh, I don't think they're gonna get any Oscars.
But this is what you think the Academy is going for?
Oh, I think just... Well, I don't even know. The Academy is probably gonna turn, because it's Star Wars, and they don't want to. But it does have some merits.
They gave an Oscar to Suicide Squad, so they don't care.
You really hated that film.
I did not think it was good. No, absolutely not.
I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't expect it to be Marvel level, to be honest.
Well, I expected it to be good. So I guess if anyone's expecting a movie to be that movie to be good, then they're gonna be disappointed. So next category is very hard to actually like. I had a tough time picking this one because this next category is film editing. Now, how do you look at 5 different films and determine whether or not one is edited better than the other?
I can tell you how. Because we were watching movies and we would stop and go, I don't know how much time has passed. I don't understand what part of the story we're at. They're not giving me indications of time, and that's bad editing. That's
also story structure, though. That could also be part of the interlinked story that's this problem. I guess at that point, who do you blame? Do you blame the editor, or do you blame the person who did not feel like they needed to specify the time?
I would always blame the director, but the director ultimately is in charge of what gets cut. And
Right.
if they're cutting segments that could have given us indication of time, which we don't know because we didn't get to see them.
Well, actually, directors don't really get to choose their cut. That's why we have movies released afterwards that have a director's cut, because I think the studios kind of go over their head.
Yeah, the producers and that.
So, like, it's really hard to define. So, in film editing, I guess I didn't even go through the sound editing, sound mixing ones, but it's fine. So, for film editing, we have The Irishman, Parasite, Joker, Jojo Rabbit, and Ford v Ferrari. Now, I threw away Jojo Rabbit immediately, because whatever. The Irishman's, like, it's just Martin Scorsese's good at all aspects of film. So, like, obviously that is a contender. You also have Joker, which is surprisingly well edited for, like, a comedy director.
Mm-hmm.
But my choice was Parasite.
It was my choice too.
Wow, we did it! High-fived. Hopefully that didn't blow out somebody's eardrum.
Oh, it did. I could see the audio.
Perfect. So for the people who can still hear us, Parasite. There's something great about its visuals. There's something that they nail. And they also nail the transition. There, I don't want to spoil anything for it because I love this movie, but they nail the transition from comedy to horror, and I think that editing is a part of that and how they depict stuff.
Oh yeah, if you have a moment run over too long or your audio isn't pulled over the next clip properly, you can lose that kind of momentum you're building.
Yeah, oh yes, exactly. So like it is, I guess, phenomenally edited, which is hard. Like it's really hard to like pinpoint exactly what they're nailing, but I guess it helps. The pacing is really good and all that kind of stuff.
I think there's just an absence of flaws.
Like,
Like,
that,
if
that might
something
be it,
stands out as an issue, you're going to remember that it was bad. But if you can't remember any issues with the editing, it was obviously very good.
One of the things that kind of bothers me, is a little pet peeve with editing, is that when they'll have two people talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the person's moving their lips, but it doesn't sync to what they're actually saying, so that they cut quickly afterwards.
Oh.
Like, you know, they kind of cut in the middle of it to the other side where they're actually speaking proper, like speaking the actual. There's good AD. What's it called? ADR. When there's
when they do voiceover afterwards.
Yeah.
Like
the other, like it's poor ADR, and then they cut to them actually speaking.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. I think that actually happened in Bombshell. Like it's something that like once you notice every time.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine that has a lot to do with it's expensive to reset up a set for reshoots, so it's easier to do a kind of iffy ADR and move on with your day.
Okay. All right. So then, yeah, we both on the same page here. Parasite. So now we're gonna move down to cinematography. So our list for our nominations here are 1917, Joker, The Irishman, The Lighthouse, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood kind of ran through that one. Lighthouse I haven't seen, so I have no idea. All these other ones are really good choices, and this was another one I had a real tough time with because they all have great cinematography. I mean, Once Upon a Time in like Quentin Tarantino is like, I don't want to say the master of cinematography, but he nails it all the time.
He often tells a story more through visual than by actual storytelling.
Which was the big fault in this movie, I guess, but it's fine. The Irishman, obviously, Martin Scorsese, like I said, nails everything. But I picked 1917.
Oh, yay.
The reason I picked 1917 is because the gimmick relies on cinematography. Now, the gimmick, if you guys are unaware, is that it's all supposed to be one shot. So the camera is either following or they're moving towards the camera, and there's these other crazy angles. Now, trying to like set up your cinematography while doing that, I think it would be very difficult. So I think just for the effort alone and for the kind of seamless way that they did it, I think it's almost like a clear winner. Even though I feel like it is a tough category. Like any other year that 1917 wasn't released, these other ones would have had a very good chance.
I didn't pick 1917.
Interesting. Which one did you pick?
I picked Joker.
Joker would have been the one to win it this year if it wasn't for 1917 for me. I think.
The problem is I didn't see 1917. I just
You
got
didn't
an
see Joker.
explanation.
You didn't see Joker.
But I watched so many clips of Joker and I read so much about it that I feel like I can make commentary.
Yeah,
but 1917, I just had no interest in it at all, so I didn't take the time.
It's funny because both movies, if you like seeing a guy run, that's the movies to watch. So yeah, okay, but I think yours is the more standard one, and I'm going for something that's a bit more kind of out of left field, just because movies aren't just one shot or supposed to look like it's one take, and I
Yeah,
feel like
continuous shooting is not a common style.
no, like you do that to build up momentum in a scene, but you don't do that for the entirety of the film. So I feel like them doing that, but also nailing how like visually how it looks, it's great.
See, I went with the one that I thought they would probably pick, the one that stood out the most.
Okay. Oh, I mean that's fair. So next, you wanted to talk about this one for some reason because I didn't care, but
Just a quick into the makeup and hairstyling. I understand that not everyone would be interested in this one. I had to pick between two, and that was Bombshell and Maleficent. The reason that I had to pick is because just the daily makeup for Angelina Jolie, nobody else, just her,
yeah.
is so gosh darn phenomenal.
Okay.
Just the sculpting they do and the layers of wraps. I mean, the hours she spent in the chair to look airbrush in a way that we normally see in CGI, but they did it on her real face.
Okay.
That is dedication to your craft, and I have to appreciate that. That's the one I picked, but I also really, really appreciated the amount of styling that went into Bombshell to make these actresses look so almost indistinguishable from the people that they were really portraying.
Okay.
Like, Charlize as Kelly. Almost indistinguishable, and that takes a lot of work and a lot of effort on those departments.
Oh, John Lithgow was in heavy makeup. I almost didn't recognize him. So
They did their job well, but I'm still kind of torn. I want to give it to both, but I thought I'd just jump on that quickly.
I went for the obvious pick, and that was be Maleficent.
You'd pick Maleficent as well.
I picked Maleficent because this is more being like, well, you have more chances for fantasy to kind of go over the top or go have more interesting designs when it comes to makeup and hairstyling.
But remember that Black Panther won, didn't they, for hairstyling before? Makeup and hairstyling?
Maybe.
When there was like massive collections of alien life and other films that were really intricate
that's
that
true.
lost.
That's true. I mean, like, Academy is weird on this one. It's not consistent, so...
I would bet you that Bombshell's gonna win. But Maleficent really had that fantastical side to it. Yeah. That is, admittedly, sometimes a lot easier to do. To create something with molding and that on the face can be a lot easier than trying to recreate a very specific look or very specific contouring.
Mm-hmm. As
somebody who does their makeup very often and has done special effects makeup.
Do you also do videos about makeup? Is that also something that you do?
Occasionally. Yeah, it's really hard though. I picked Maleficent, but it should also go to Bombshell. They should just give out 2 this year.
No, that's never the answer. So we both say Maleficent. Yes. Skipping on now because original score didn't bother to listen to. Original song I listened to, and I kind of picked which one felt like the most, had the most oomph in it. But we don't need to talk about those. Next, I believe is original screenplay, unless I'm mistaken.
It is original screenplay.
So, in this category, we have Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, Knives Out, and 1917.
Okay, wait, on 3. Tell me your favorite. 1, 2, 3. Knives
Out. Knives Out's my favorite. Okay, wait, you talking about like my favorite of the 5 here? Yeah. Or what I'm picking?
No, the one you're picking.
Oh, I'm not picking Knives Out.
Really?
This was heartbreaking, actually, because I was between this one and another one, and I decided to go with the other one. I went with a more safe bet. Because Knives Out does have a very good script and it's a very good story. I just feel like a Marriage Story, it nails everything. Like the conversations, the kind of like what it is to go through an actual divorce. It nails all that, and it's just written so well. Knives Out is like the outlier here, and I think that's why it's not going to get picked.
I found that Knives Out, it was such a simple story that we were shown so complexly, and that's what made it so fantastic.
Sure. Okay, again, this goes back to, I think we had a conversation about this the other day, where macro versus micro.
Yes.
Knives Out nails the macro, but then some of the micro is kind of like, you have like these like, oh, SJWs, oh, you have these Nazis, like you have like, you throwing in this kind of modern lingo and conversations that don't fit very well, I say. Yeah. Kind of detour from the movie itself. So that's kind of where but like again, Marriage Story nails it on both counts. So I feel it fits better. But you can enjoy being wrong. I mean, like the other movies are well written. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just needs a story, and then they're cooking.
1917 also needs to be a little more compelling.
A little bit more, yes. It is tough because the gimmick is the main thing, and there isn't that much more beyond the gimmick that you haven't seen in another war movie before. And obviously Parasite is great, but I have a tough time. I can't judge a Korean script. I have a tough time doing that.
It's a different
'Cause-
culture.
'cause-
It's hard to transfer.
Well, see, the problem is that like I'm not Korean. I didn't speak Korean, so I got to see the subtitles. So I'm seeing a depiction of the screenplay rather than the screenplay itself.
That's true. We know in anime sometimes subtitles can kind of tonally change the show and make things seem a little uncomfortable or awkward. I imagine it's the same with Korean.
Yeah, probably. So that's why Marriage Story for me. So, foreign language film, obviously, is Parasite. There's no other person because like.
I also pick Parasite.
Well, I mean, because it's the obvious choice because it's nominated in other categories. If you see a foreign film nominated in other categories, that means it's probably going to win Best Foreign Film. Easy. Animated feature. Now, I want to talk about animated features because I like animated features.
Can I go down the list?
By all means. I've been hogging this.
The nominees for this is Toy Story 4,
Mm-hmm.
I Lost My Body,
Never heard of it.
Klaus,
Mm-hmm.
Missing Link,
Yeah.
and How to Train Your Dragon Hidden World. I Lost My Body, I think, was on Disney Plus.
Oh, I didn't check it out.
Neither did I. It looked very odd.
Now, what do you got? What do you think of these nominations?
I think the obvious one is to say it's going to be Toy Story 4.
Right.
I don't think there's any competition there.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm going to disagree with you. Now, see, most years I play it really safe, but this year I started to pick things that I felt more about feelings than it is about
Did
what
you
the
pick
Academy.
Klaus?
I picked Klaus.
It's a
'Cause-
Christmas film. I don't think they're going to pick it. It's been
But
too
Klaus
long.
was such an original and refreshing take on Christmas stories, and I was also like, again, Toy Story 4, good movie, but no one wanted it. No one wanted another Toy Story movie because they felt that 3 concluded the story perfectly.
Oh, 3 did.
3 did. So 4, though good, is unnecessary. Whereas Klaus, I really enjoyed. I didn't feel it was unnecessary. I thought it was refreshing. I thought their takes on Christmas was very good. I liked their animation style. I feel like this one could be the one to dethrone Disney this year.
To me, when I think of a Christmas movie, I don't think they fare well in these kinds of things because generally awards are not around Christmas time.
That's true.
So it's been quite some time since you've seen it, and you don't really feel compelled to watch it in the middle of a spring month. So they just don't have the audience for them year round.
I mean, that is true. That could potentially be true. But there are people who like to sing Christmas carols in like July, I've heard. So, I mean,
Are you calling me out?
on our podcast, yeah. I sure am. I'm running the show. So yes, I'm going for the. I know it's weird to kind of go back and forth here, where I'm like, oh, I'm going to play it safe with Marriage Story, and then kind of go with Klaus. But that's just how I felt. I felt like this could be the year that Disney would lose, and I think this is the time it should lose.
I mean, I'll also point out that you're going off the ballot that you're also going to try to win against your own family with.
That's true. So
So-
I'm really risking it here. I really am. And obviously, How to Train Your Dragon is all garbage. So I can't wait. I think I might do a series of reviews or talk about all 3 movies on the podcast because I seem to be the only one that dislikes those films.
I made him rewatch them recently because I enjoy them.
Yep, didn't help. Didn't fix it.
I know. Anyways, we're moving on to our next one.
Oh, now we're getting to like the real big categories. So next one is going to be supporting actress. Now, did you want to go through the nominations, please?
I would be happy to. First up, we have Kathy Bates as Richard Jewell. Or is that in a movie, Richard Jewell?
Richard Jewell, maybe?
That's not how you spell Jewel. Anyways, then we have Laura Dern in The Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh in Little Women,
Yeah.
and Margot Robbie in Bombshell.
Now, this category, I'm going to be honest with you. I was horribly underwhelmed by all these people. I don't think any of them were... Okay. You're giving me these looks. I mean in the sense that, like, none of them stood out. They worked in their movie. They were solid in their movie, but they don't work outside of that.
I will disagree with you
Sure.
because of the one that I picked,
Who
which
did
is
you
Margot
pick?
Robbie. Because I felt in a movie that wasn't about her, she was probably the most compelling character to follow.
Which is not good because she's the one that's fake.
I know, she was made up. She was the one who had to tie everyone else's stories in.
Yeah, she had
Which means they did it so well that she became a centerpiece as an audience member to the film. Like, without her, it wouldn't have felt complete. And I love her and her performance.
I mean, I like her as an actor, but I found her performance was good.
Just the way that she depicted embarrassment and shame and fear. Those are things that are difficult to depict. I mean, anyone can throw on a happy smile. But to have a look of absolute devastation and be believable, I think is quite difficult.
She also does have the one requirement: you have to cry at some point. So she did cry, I believe, at some point. So that's how I usually determine if an actor gets nominated, is if they have a crying scene where they're in
I
tears.
think she had a couple.
She had probably had a couple. Again, I thought it was good. I thought Bombshell in general was just solid, just good. Like, I didn't feel like anything stood out. Everything was like, wow, that was an amazing performance. But that's just me. Now, you want to hear my choice?
Don't say Laura Dern.
No. I chose the one I actually didn't see, and that's Kathy Bates.
That's because Kathy Bates is also.
That's literally the only reason I'm going for her, is because I'm like, Kathy Bates is great, and all these other performances are completely underwhelming. Laura Dern in Marriage Story, like, as a nomination, is a joke to me.
Which, wasn't she in there for, like, such a limited amount of time?
Limited amount of time, and she just played a lawyer. That was it. There was nothing more in depth about her character. She was just a lawyer.
What's odd to me is that Little Women, she was actually present for a good amount of the film.
That one would have made more sense for her to be nominated.
I don't understand why she wasn't for that one.
Yeah, and then Florence Pugh. Is she the one that paints?
I literally have no idea who she is.
I think she's the one that paints in
Beth?
Little Women. Beth. She might be Beth.
Oh no, Beth was the one who.
No, not Beth, not Beth. Then the other one.
That other one.
See, obviously not her, obviously, because we can't even figure out what her character's name was. So yeah, so like I felt like all the other performances were so underwhelming. I had to choose something that I hadn't seen just because Kathy Bates is in it. So fingers crossed on that one.
Anyway, our next one is supporting actor.
Oh, okay. Would you like me to go through them?
I would like you to. This is
So
seeming a little sex-driven over here.
All right, so Anthony Hopkins, The Two Popes. Al Pacino, The Irishman. Joe Pesci, The Irishman. Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Tom Hanks, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? I guess you don't need to be because we live together.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But he's who I picked.
You picked Tom Hanks?
He just... The warm fuzzies that you get from Tom Hanks playing Roger is exactly what I wanted him to be.
I agree, and I picked the same one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because that's the only good thing about that movie. The movie itself is... The movie is pretty underwhelming in terms of, like, the story and the other characters, but, like, he is great. Because Tom Hanks is already a horribly likable person. Like, he's overtly, like, everyone loves him.
Even... Man, I've never seen an interview where he's even... When people are being horrible to him, he will politely be like, oh, well, that is your opinion. I'm just gonna mosey on now.
He's such a nice guy. And then now he's playing an even nicer guy somehow. And he nails it, I think. I really think he nails it. Not to say anything against these other performances. I mean, Anthony Hopkins, The Two Popes, it's fine. It's good.
Joe Pesci and Al Pacino.
But Joe Pesci, I really enjoyed, though. I will say, though, I did like his... Because it felt like such a contrast to his performance in Goodfellas. Because in Goodfellas, he's really animated. He's really... Because he's youthful. Except in this one, he's kind of old and he's contented. He's more of the mob boss in this one. Brad Pitt's good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Brad Pitt's... Yeah, he's good in most things.
Yeah, I liked him. But
I don't think Brad Pitt stands out anymore.
But Tom Hanks saves the movie. He carries the film.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has to be him.
I mean, forgive me for this, but I think Brad Pitt has moved past his prime as an A-list actor.
I mean, he wasn't at Ad Astra. That's on there somewhere. So.
Yeah, in one nomination spot.
Anyway, let's move on. So we have adapted screenplay now, which is weirdly not placed by original screenplay. Odd.
Yeah. Well, our nominees are The Irishman.
Yeah.
Joker.
Yeah.
Little Women. The Two Popes. And Jojo Rabbit.
So is Joker put there just because it's based off a DC character? Is that the only reason?
I mean, I don't know if that's an adapted screenplay. It's an adapted story.
but that's the only like I've never heard of this Joker story outside of that. So what is it adapted from if it's not just they're just saying well it's because of this character?
I mean, he's technically in comic books.
Well, the Joker is not technically.
Well, no, I mean like that is a literature medium, but it's not a screenplay. I mean, you could say that he's adapted off of other screenplays that have featured him. I guess.
Very odd choice. Which one did you pick?
I picked Little Women.
Okay, okay.
I knew you weren't gonna like my choice, but it's what I believe.
Well, because I do not care for Little Women that much.
I thought it was quite a compelling story, one I quite enjoyed.
Okay, and if I remember, let me guess why you picked it.
Okay.
Did you pick it because out of all the times they've done the film, this is the one that kind of gets it closest?
This I felt was the truest iteration of Little Women.
Okay.
I also felt that they did very well in making the women of that time real to the women of today.
Okay.
I mean, and to the men of today who watched, but I'm going to assume that the audience was probably primarily female for this film.
It's possible. Okay. What do you think I picked?
You know, I'm going to guess you went with The Irishman, but I'm going to also guess that you looked at Two Popes for a second and went, maybe.
Wrong on the second count, but right on the first one. I did pick The Irishman. I looked at Two Popes and I'm like, well, obviously not that one. And then just
Really?
went looked at, well, I mean, like, it's good, but, like, it's not the best screenplay. Jojo Rabbit's fine. Little Women, it might be the best iteration, but I didn't find the script to be that compelling or, like, the screenplay to be that compelling. Joker was tough. That was the one it was fighting with, because I do like how Joker's written. I think it's a good, well-written film, but I think...
just don't understand how it's in the category.
I don't either. I'm going to ignore that aspect, but just The Irishman... Martin Scorsese says he's great at having conversations. All of his conversations feel real, and I feel like he did a great job of adapting this kind of story. I think he nailed it, as he normally does, but in this category, I think he specifically got it down. It's one of his more realistic conversations kind of films.
The next one we have here is our actresses of whom are nominated.
Oh, Best Actress, yes. So we have Cynthia Erivo, which is from Harriet. Scarlett Johansson from Marriage Story. I don't know why I chose to read this category.
Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah, Ronan from Little Women. Renee Zellweger from Judy, and Charlize Theron from Bombshell.
Who do you think I picked?
Charlize?
I 100% did.
Wow, but see, I might have considered her, but then you told me how Megyn Kelly and other people said that she did not portray her how she speaks well.
Yeah, that's true. But as an audience member, you couldn't tell the difference until I said something. Which shows how good it was to somebody who didn't know Megyn Kelly very personally.
Okay.
Also, I think being able to depict a real person who's alive today that we see on the news all the time is pretty phenomenal. And to do so with such... I'm going to say that she had the character in such a line of dignity.
Okay.
That it was... I felt it was an exceptionally good performance. Though I would have argued that... And I can't say her name right twice. Little Women, Miss Ronan.
Yeah.
I felt that she also did very well in her role, but Charlize just was more compelling to watch.
Okay. Now, I did not choose either of those women.
You picked Scarlett Johansson.
I 100% picked Scarlett Johansson. I was rather impressed with her in this movie.
I'm so tired of her.
Oh, you can be tired of her as much as you want, but I don't think you can discredit it, because Carlos was telling me the other day that people felt that Adam Driver kind of overshadowed her in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I 100% disagree. I feel like the first half of the film almost is her. It's her film. And they kind of do a little back and forth after that. But she nails everything in this that you could nail. And she got to be out of her, and I don't want to say comfort zone, something that she'd been doing a while. She had been doing these Avenger movies. She's been doing whatever kind of films. It was nice to see her, this movie is about heart and emotion, and it's raw, and I feel like she nails all that stuff when it comes to emotions.
So kind of more like her role in He's Just Not That Into You.
I don't know, I've never seen it.
Of course you haven't.
I found her Jojo Rabbit role, though good, was like the whole. I think the whole movie is just good. So like I didn't find her performance was like a step above good. Whereas like this one, I was overtly impressed.
And that's exactly why you picked her.
Exactly.
All right, are we going to move up to actors?
No, I'd like to stay here in silence for the next 5 minutes.
I refuse to do that. So for actors, we have
Antonio. Who?
Antonio Banderas from Pain and Glory.
Ugh.
Adam Driver in Marriage Story. Joaquin Phoenix. the
Joaquin.
Joker. Joaquin?
Joaquin.
His name is Walking.
Yes. Joaquin Phoenix, yeah.
Oh, that is an odd spelling, but I'll take your word for it. Jonathan Pryce in The Two Popes. Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, now can I say before you pick
Mhm.
that I love Jonathan Pryce so much. He played the High Sparrow in Game of Thrones, and I love him so much. But I think this choice is very easy. I think Joaquin Phoenix is the obvious choice, and I don't think there's anyone that you can argue other than maybe Adam Driver.
I put Adam Driver.
Really? Oh my god! I thought we were going to be on the same page here.
I mean, yes, it was a spectacular performance, and I'm not going to take that away from him.
But what?
But he was playing somebody that wasn't really relatable, and I think if you're looking at...
Well, because you couldn't personally relate to him doesn't mean it shouldn't win.
No, but when you look at an audience, you're going to react best to the people you can relate to the most.
Okay.
And I think the person that Adam plays is much more relatable to the majority of American audiences.
Yeah.
So I think people would naturally
Okay,
gravitate
but
towards
like,
that.
okay, you gravitate to his situation, but not his character personally, because his character is very standoffish as a person,
Mhm.
and that's not relatable to me. He the way that he like I don't know. For me, it's less about relatability and being able to have a very interesting character. Now, Adam Driver again, he's second place here, easy. I really any other year it would have been him, but just Joaquin Phoenix nails the Joker in a different way that we haven't seen before. We have instead of having the Heath Ledger Joker, which is obviously very famous, we have a very emotionally damaged person,
Very unstable person.
very unstable person,
Which is exactly why I immediately was like, no, I won't pick him.
oh.
Because that kind of performance makes me uncomfortable. I would never choose
But
that.
but the fact that you're feeling something towards this performance, which it's supposed to, he does make you uncomfortable. It is kind of creepy, and that the fact that you're feeling that means that he's doing his job well.
Yes, but I'm not gonna try to nominate something that I don't like.
That's fair. That is
So-
fair. All right, so we'll see on that one. I'll be surprised if I'm wrong though.
You're probably right, but I had to go with what I felt in my heart.
Okay, so the next two categories. Now I'm gonna ask you this:
Mhm.
Did you pick the same movie for both? Because
No.
oh, interesting. Because it is like a 70% chance that they're the same ones. But okay, since you didn't, we're gonna go with director first. Now, director, we have The Irishman, Joker, 1917, Parasite, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Who did you pick? Oh no, I guess we can't because you picked the same for both.
That's true.
Okay. For the directing, I did pick, after talking a little bit of smack, Joker.
Okay, I mean, he'd be like the surprise one, I think. Like the who had like an what's it called, like unsung hero or like
The underdog?
yeah, like underdog award, because no one expected it. They heard like, who is this guy? Oh, he's a comedy director or whatever, and then like yeah, he nails it.
Oh, I think he stepped out of his comfort zone and really put out the best that he could.
Yeah.
And I think he'll win for it. Honestly, I do.
Okay.
And this one, I made the choice more so on what I thought the Academy would choose, more so than what I thought personally was the best.
What would you choose?
For myself?
Yeah.
For directing?
Yeah.
Probably Parasite.
Okay. Now, since you picked a different one for picture, I would like to hear what your picture choice is. Actually, let me go through the nominations, just
Okay,
because
yeah.
people forgot. So, we have Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Parasite, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, before you tell me,
Mhm.
I just noticed something, and I was very surprised that neither Matt Damon or for his name, Christian Bale, were considered nominations. Now, do you think that's right or wrong?
Ooh, Christian Bale, admittedly, that character probably could be played by a few other people, and we wouldn't have seen a difference. Matt Damon, on the
On the blah, yeah.
on the
blah,
other
blah,
hand,
blah, yeah.
I couldn't have imagined anyone else in that role. I felt it, and we watched it together very recently.
Yeah.
Like the commentary we had about the character really being a lifelike person.
Yeah.
The American traits to him, the things that just felt very real about his character.
Yeah.
I think he deserved a nomination. Christian Bale, maybe.
But is
But
he the main
Matt
character?
really
Who's
did.
the main character of that movie, though? That's the problem. Would he be a supporting or would he be main?
I think the
he'd
main
be-
character is the car.
I mean, that's true. That's a good way of looking at it. Maybe you would have them both as supporting.
Oh, I can't. Can you have two main characters? Yeah, you can.
You can, but
Because I mean, it is the story of Shelby's company and the Shelby.
it's also a story about the driver.
In a way, yes.
Well, I mean, okay, so
I don't know, but I would pick Matt Damon over Christian.
fair enough. Okay, that was a little tangent. Now tell me, best picture, is it Ford v Ferrari?
It is Ford v Ferrari.
Oh, wow! Oh my!
Did you also pick Ford v Ferrari?
No, absolutely not. But
Can I
please,
tell you why?
Please.
Okay, so you guys don't know me very well, but Ryan knows me pretty well.
I think so. Yeah,
And,
I hope so, at least.
I have a modest amount of knowledge about car culture and vintage vehicles after being raised in a house where I worked on hot rods with my brothers and my dad's.
Right.
My dad's, I have multiple. I'm kidding. So having this kind of reintroduction to a story that I've been told since I was a kid,
Yeah.
in a very beautifully done visual media, was personal to me in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But it also was a story that was really hard to look away from. It was hard to, I didn't want to pick up my phone. And that is a rare thing when watching a TV, a show Mount House.
Yeah, that's 100% true. 100% true. If she's looking at the screen, she's engaged. Really engaged.
I felt it was so wonderfully done. The editing was beautiful. Even the way they cut the sunsets was great. And that's not something you think they would pay attention to in a movie about bejesus powerful race cars.
So this is more of a personal choice than it is an Academy choice, then.
I thought, no. Yes, there is a personal degree to it, but there's nothing in the film where I would look at it and say, well, that wasn't well done. There isn't a performance I think wasn't well done. I mean, there's characters I didn't like, but I wasn't supposed to like them, and I know that.
That's true.
I mean, even the way they depicted Ferrari, though it is kind of a competition between Ford and Ferrari obviously it's Ford v Ferrari. The way they depicted them were still honorable people with an exceptionally good quality product, and they say that many times. They don't discount their competitor.
Well, it just shows how much how much they actually have to work at it in order to even try to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally had to take a course on how to build Ferraris. Don't ask me why, it's a thing I had to do. It is an incredible feat to beat a Ferrari.
Okay. So do you think that we're just going to no longer have an S in versus stuff?
I hope not. I really hate that they just put a V.
We really hope that they don't have an S?
No, VS is the shortened version of versus.
Yeah, so V is short for VS, which is short for versus.
Yeah. I don't like it.
I hate it
S.
too.
Just put the S.
Yeah, really, Ford versus Ferrari.
This isn't
Works.
1926 where we have to pay per letter of ink on a newspaper.
This is Batman v Superman's fault.
Ugh.
It ruined everything.
No. That movie ruined a lot more than just a letter.
Alright, so now I guess I'll give you both my choices. So this is another one that's out there for a choice because this has never happened.
Is it Joker?
No, it's not
Oh,
Joker.
really? What is your
Absolutely
choice?
not. I'm talking about never.
Parasite.
Never happened. Parasite directing and picture.
You think a foreign film is going to win the two tops?
I think it is. I am going all in on these two because in terms of the films that we have that it's going up against, I don't think it has that much of competition here. Usually I'm like, okay, if there's like a tie between the films, I'll pick the one that the Academy usually goes for. But I think Parasite is just so much above these other films that I have a tough time going down to second place or something like that.
Really?
So I feel because directing-wise, everything about the movie, visually, editing, writing-wise, it all was so cohesive. It works so well together.
Again, it just has a lack of flaws.
Exactly. It is almost perfection in terms of storytelling. it's one of the most unique stories I've seen.
And you didn't even see it in its native language.
No.
Which really gives a lot of... That shows how good it was.
Yeah, and the fact that other people are talking about it just shows how good it is, because like most of the time, like the foreign film, it might get put into the best picture, but that's more of like a, oh, look how good you got up to this level, that's cute, you almost got up there. But like but like this one, it deserves to be here, and I feel like this might be the year where we have a best foreign picture.
Has it never happened before that a foreign picture has won?
I can't think of one, because the only time I've ever heard of a foreign whatever film winning in another category was for best actor, because yeah, which was a great performance. Obviously, it was from a movie called Life is Beautiful, fantastic Italian film. So I think this could be the year. I think out of all the out of the choices, I mean, people saying like it's between 1917 and Parasite, but like again,
1917 is not comparable though.
I don't think so. I don't think any of these films are. I mean, like,
Ford v Ferrari.
You know what? Yeah.
Personal opinion.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Parasite. Now I'm just gonna give you guys a quick list of, because obviously I like lists, so I listed actually the best picture nominations. Now you may disagree with them because obviously yours is not number one. I think you. So I'm gonna go from best to, actually I'm gonna go from worst to best. So at number 9, last spot, Little Women. Good, but I didn't feel like I was horribly engaged. I felt it was not that interesting of a story, but that's just me. Jojo Rabbit, good. Felt like they could have gone farther in places, and I felt like the story kind of abandoned its kind of like more out there kind of vibe, which I didn't care for. But it's still a good movie. I still thought it was quite funny. 7, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Have a story. That's all you needed to do, was actually have a coherent story. And then you would have been in the top 3 at least. But no, you decided to meander the entire time. Whatever. Number 6, 1917. This might be very low for some people. 1917. Good movie. Great gimmick. The gimmick is what brings the movie from good to great. But
it also is what brings it down.
Exactly. Because war movies are so tough to tell, because like all the stories have been done before. It's hard to make war interesting, so you do it by having a gimmick, which improves it. But then when you take away the gimmick, it goes back to just being good.
Yeah.
So, and then we have number 5, kind of in the middle of the thing, is Joker. Very surprisingly good movie this year. Solid. Not that many complaints.
Not the one people saw coming.
Exactly. Number 4, The Irishman. Now, this is more of like The Irishman doing so many things wrong to stop than it is actually what it does right, because it does everything else so well. It's just he's done mafia movies in the past, and they've just been better, I think. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the CGI or whatever, the de-aging doesn't really work that well. It's also unnecessarily long, I'd say.
And there's some awkwardness in the dialogue.
There is some, but like that comes from just real life conversations, I feel.
Well, and there's also a discussion that having old men try to be very active like young men doesn't work very well. It doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. You can teach a young man to be old, but not an old man to be young. There's something about how people move. So yeah, for all those little things, especially just the fact that he has done Goodfellas. He's not ever gonna top Goodfellas. So. A nice try, though. So number 3 is actually going to be Marriage Story. Very compelling standard drama that is enhanced by its performances. I don't care how it ends, because it kind of ends how like a lot of these movies ends, where it's like, oh, okay, just accept the facts and then just kind of move on. And not that compelling of an ending, so But it is kind of true to real life. But I never enjoyed those kind of endings. But like again, really well written, good, very good movie. Number 2. Ford v Ferrari, so it is second place. It is one of the most engaging films of this list. Definitely, like, my heart was pounding through all the races. Like it was so exciting.
The worst thing about it, though, is that we kept fearing. We kept getting scared, and then we were like, "Oh no, he finished the race. He's okay."
Yes.
And then the ending.
Which is a good ending, but
a hurtful one.
Sure, but like it was just so good. Everything in that movie works so well. And then obviously number 1, Parasite, which is just so good. So good in every aspect of it. Such a surprise. Couldn't believe it. And that is my list for the Oscars. And actually, I think that's probably it for the podcast, right?
Well, there is one thing.
Oh, what is it?
And that's, since I'm a guest on the podcast, I'd like to ask a guest question, and that's, what was your favorite pick for Best Picture this year?
What was my favorite pick?
Not yours, the audience.
Oh,
Leave
you're
it
asking
in the
them?
comments.
Oh, yeah, please, let us know. It better be Parasite, though.
It better be Ford v Ferrari.
It better be Ford v Parasite. Okay. Well, thanks guys for watching. Hopefully, you guys are able to check out check out the podcast. Obviously, I hope you did.
And the Oscars.
And also the Oscars, which are going to be on Sunday, I think at 6:00, because they always have the red carpet before then. So let us know how you guys do, because maybe print out one of these Oscar sheets yourself. You know, fill it out, see how you did. I generally get like 13 or 14 out of 24, which sounds like a lot of misses, but like that's pretty good for a lot of ones where I have to actually guess.
I have a steady streak of 0 out of 0. So
Maybe you'll improve on it this year. Maybe you will. Well, thanks guys.
Thanks for having me today. It was fun being here.
Yeah. Hopefully you will not be back again, and we'll have Carlos.
If I come on once a year, I'll be happy.
All right. Yeah. You know what? By all means, whenever the topic interests you, jump on and join us. We'll have a conversation.
All right. Well, come on once a year, I'll be happy.
All right. Yeah. You know what? By all means, whenever the topic interests you, jump on and join us. We'll have a conversation.
All right. Well, I have been the secondary pessimist tonight.
And I've been the primary pessimist. And remember, guys, when it comes to movies, the glass is never half full. It's half empty.